The British are coming. The British are coming. But this time, digitally.
King Charles has openly declared that the elites must launch a vast military-style campaign to combat climate change, while calling for nothing less than a complete rewiring of the global economy.
Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair's Policy Institute is to receive millions of dollars from the founder of the US tech giant Oracle. Now, this is in addition to some $33 billion that were put in 2021. So reports say that the Oracle founder, Larry Ellison, will be donating an additional $49 million to the non-profit organization set up by the former Labour leader, provide advice to governments across the world to maintain peaceful and progressive societies. The project aims to create a central database of vaccination records. The eventual plan is to widen the system out across the healthcare. Now, Blair and Ellison have been working on social projects since Blair's tenure in Downing Street. At one point, Oracle had become a key firm supplying technology to the UK government. It still provides cloud computing services to the Cabinet Office. Now, last year, Oracle bought the US electronic health record company, Sana, for almost $30 billion.
Oracle Executive Chairman Larry Ellison, SoftBank CEO, my friend Masa Yoshi's son, and CEO of OpenAI, and I would say by far the leading expert based on everything I read, Sam Altman. So that's great that you're coming in together. That's a massive group of talent and money. Together, these world-leading technology giants are announcing the formation of Stargate. So put that name down in your books, because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure in the United States, and very, very quickly, moving very rapidly, creating over 100,000 American jobs almost immediately. This monumental undertaking is a resounding declaration of confidence in America's potential under a new president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. New president. Let me be a new president. I didn't say it, they did. It's my honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. It's sort of CEO of everything. He's an amazing man, an amazing business person. But to announce the largest AI infrastructure project by far in history, and it's all taking place right here in America.
I asked just for myself a couple tech support here.
The British are coming. The British are coming. But this time, digitally. The juxtaposition of fact and fiction has separated. Artificial no-intelligence is coming digitally, but they have left the dimension of 3D. And as they've left the dimension of 3D, the claimants and the postmasters and the quantum banking system now hold the superposition. This is a wonderful space. And this is a wonderful time to create your own word terms, to define and program the digital space that now we the people control. What do I mean about a juxtaposition? What is a juxtaposition? It is a side-by-side systems that are not necessarily going in the same direction, and sometimes not even functioning in the same time. But they're running parallel in the same dimension. Fascinating concept. As most of you know, the United States government ceased to exist in 1999. If you've watched my documentary series, it's forecastles.com, LASTFLAGSTANDING.COM, and PiercingDynasty.com, we've learned about the bankruptcy of the United States of America and how our founding fathers borrowed money from France, 1.6 million francs, and in doing so, put themselves into debt. And that debt expired, and England, or the British, had bought the debt from France. And the debt from France was conveyed by Benjamin Franklin for 1.6 million francs from the United States Post Office in 1775. And so England was collecting the revenues, or the tax, the fees, off of the bankruptcy note, and that bankruptcy note ended. And the head of the bankruptcy note was the trustee. They called him the president. And in 1999, that note ended. And they put a spoof on the American people, and they kicked the Internal Revenue Service out of the country, and they told all the citizens that now you're no longer going to write your checks for tax to the Internal Revenue Service, but now you're going to pay it to the U.S. Department of Treasury. At the same time, in the year 2000, which was the next presidential election, they had to vacate the estate of a president. So they tricked the American people in the Florida Chads, where they slid the will of the people, the right of the vote, to vote for a leader, because there were no guidelines to elect a president. And they slid it into a courthouse, which is a foreign vessel in dry dock under a yellow fringe flag. And the yellow fringe flag is not registered anywhere on the planet except for military parades. So it was a military takeover of the government. And the military's been in charge ever since 1999. But they had to vacate the estate of a president. And so the Florida Chads, what that means is they left Florida and they went to Washington, D.C. and they went to the U.S. Supreme Court, and they gave you an opinion on who a leader should be. And they broke all the guidelines, and that's why all the elections since the year 2000 have been fraudulent. They've been cheating and manipulating the digital space and computers, and of course not telling the American people that there's no charter, and the charter for the bankruptcy was the Constitution of the United States. And so they vacated that document that so many have loved and so many have fought for. See, but now the Brits, who had received all the toll and fees for the bankruptcy from when they bought it from France, now they're coming back. They're coming back in. They're being asked to come back in under different corporations under the guise of a fake president who is allowing the corporations to come in at the will of the king, who has articulated that, hey, he wants to rewire the whole economies, all the global economies. Well, why not come to the strongest, one of the most vibrant countries in the world that has had great workers and great citizens put their sweat equity into this country and rewire the thing. But in doing so, they had to leave the construct, because what I did, which was so unique, in the year 2000 is I filed for the position as Postmaster-General of the country. And at that point, I had one foot in the sea. But in 2012, when I got to go to the Benjamin Franklin Post Office and read his banknotes on how he borrowed the money from France, I got to put one foot on the land. So it was pretty a fascinating journey. I had one foot in the sea, which was Washington, D.C., because I received a bill of lading, label, stamp as a Postmaster-General from the post office, and I used that contract to navigate myself all around the world and do all kinds of fascinating things. If you watch my documentary, you're going to learn a lot about shipping. And now with this new movement by a fake monarch to take over our country digitally, they are setting up a scenario where, if you look on this video here, where they have a man who says, well, I'm the tech support, and notice the hieroglyphic behind him. The man dressed in black, which is death, has his back to Benjamin Franklin, because now they are showing the world that they're no longer going to follow any guidelines of the postal construct that they followed for centuries all throughout the world. Instead, they're going to let this tech support set up a artificial intelligence through this company that they've invited to come over from England. And the company that comes over from England pays their contact at the City of London banking district. And then that person pays their fake monarch. And the British have now come back into our lands, but they're not on the lands. They've come back into a space that's off-world. Because if you look at the word artificial itself, it means fake, a scheme, something that's made up. And did you guys know that in is a preposition? And it's usually attached to a prepositional phrase to make a fact, to make a noun, like in the game, which would make game a noun, or in the restaurant. Restaurant is now a noun. But when you use in as a prefix to a word, it changes from a preposition into a prefix. And that prefix means no. So when you attach it to a word like incapacitate, it means that that's correct. It means you're not mentally there. You're not consciously there. You're knocked out or you're unconscious. However, when you attach it to words like intelligence, now in means no. So you mean no intelligence. So when you have this man who lets his corporation into the land of we the people, the natives, the people that were born here, the corporation now allows the British to come in, and now the people start paying back to the monarchy, because that corporation is going to pay the City of London and their business partners, who's in the fake monarch's banking system. And then the most fascinating part is that when you look at the definitions of these words, like intelligence, most people would call no intelligence, right? Because in means no. When it's connected to a word as a prefix, which means it's in front of the word. And as it's in front of the word, so you're allowing no intelligence to come in on a fake or something that is not from planet Earth, an artificial thing, something not natural here. And so you have a not natural fake thing coming in for no intelligence, and the person who let the corporation in is going to collect the money from the people to give to the corporations to pass it up the line to their monarch. I've got some great news. Some great news for the people of the world. The quantum banking system is now in position. And about the AI system and the quantum system is the AI system has what's called quantum computers. And the quantum computers use what's called qubits. And the qubits are the capacity for their storage of memory to make it function in a fake simulation of superposition. And the volition and the reason why the scientists and those of us who know the right to rule know that the qubits in the artificial intelligence quantum computer systems are fake is because they need water to cool down the systems, which means they lack the right to rule in the monoatomic world. Now, for most of you who don't know, monoatomic matter is ambient temperature metals that function in a position spin where it loses 4/9 density mass, yes, but ambient temperature metals means it can't heat up, which means it doesn't need to be cooled down. If you look into your old stories that the right to rule on planet Earth, and you go back into the Sumerian texts, and you look at the monoatomic matter, or if you look at in the biblical text, if you look at the Israelites navigating themselves around the desert for 40 years, having no place to go, which, they were given a place to go, but those contracts are fraudulent, of course. But the fraudulent grammar, I apologize. But what kept the Israelites alive and what gave the right to rule was the ability to create what they call manna, or the shenana, the highward firestone, the bin. And that has a spin on it, right? But in the artificial fake world, you can do things, and 1 gram of that has infinity storage capacity. In 2009, the great news for those in the quantum system, the great news for the claimants and the postmasters, is in 2009, I was blessed to be pulled aside by scientists who were working with a scientist by the name of David Hudson, who were doing the work of creating monatomic matter. And because their contracts with David Hudson were fraudulent, they came to me to get out of the contracts and teach me the technology and work with me in concert to create ambient temperature superconductivity metals, which is the monoatomic matter, right? Which is the right to rule. Now, with the fake simulation of a fake king and a fake system, they're creating a scenario where they have to use water or nuclear reactors to cool down the qubits or their storage, their memory source, to create superposition. If you want to learn more about superposition, you can do your own studies and check out Schrodinger's kittens, and it'll take you into several fields there, and very fascinating fields. And I was very blessed in 2007 to sit down with the top bankers from the Vatican, as well as the head of the Knights of Malta out of Germany. I shoot them off with the kittens, of course. Yeah, Schrodinger's kittens, little kittens. Check those out, and you'll get to learn about superposition and some of the quantum mechanics behind that. Back to the scientists who trained me in the monoatomic matters. In 2009, I filed a contract with the U.S. Department of Energy, as well as the U.S. Pentagon and the Vatican, on the monoatomic matter. I'm the only guy in the history of planet Earth to publish and verify the structure of monoatomic matter, because there's no testing, there's no actual testing tubes or any way to test monoatomic matter except for the ability to program it. In the year, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit, I apologize here, those scientists who trained me and gave that technology to me in the early 2000s, they were working for David, and they were working with a corporation called Conductus, Lawrence Livermore, and Argonne Corporations, who were given a gram of the material, but they did not know how to maintain the spin, nor did they know how to manufacture, reverse engineer the techniques, because there's a lot of different techniques in making monoatomic matter, and I'm not going to get into that. Anything you see online that they call Ormus is fake, by the way, and it's some of my friends' plagiarized work, but fortunately the internet does not give that technology out. You would have to know a lot about Sumerian hieroglyphics and how those storylines gave the right to rule on the planet for the actual heritage and the authority to give command on the planet. So this is where we know that the monarchy is fake, that the quantum computer systems are not superposition, but they've left the dimensional space of 3D, and now they're in another space, but they're not on planet. So the quantum computers will control the AI agents, the fake scam, no intelligent agents, who will downsize society's capacity for knowledge, will downsize because they're telling you they're not intelligent, right? They will downsize the capacity of people's capacity to work. And then they're going to create a competing system for the water, because the AI systems are going to need the water to cool down. Well, if the AI system is more important than the people, then this plays right into the sustainable development plan of the fake monarch, right? To downsize the population. This is a eugenics program. And all the puppets that you see in place are just a part of that, of the spoke of that wheel. But they're no longer in the dimensional space. And as you see the tech support in the hieroglyphic with his back to Benjamin Franklin, dressed in black as death, this is a sick joke on the people of the world. But fortunately, because of the courage of who I am, Russell-J. Cool, Postmaster-General of our world, I have put a position in place to safeguard your families, your loved ones, and to not fall into these traps. So as you interface with these quantum computers, I use quantum grammar. Quantum grammar? Quantum computers? You guys getting it yet? You guys onto it? Close? Maybe? Quantum computers, quantum math, quantum grammar. The beauty about quantum grammar is that it can translate in and out of all languages in the world, and it loses no deviation in its sentence structure. So that's quite valuable when you translate between Arabic, Hebrew, Chinese, Portuguese, back to English, and you want to lose no deviation in your sentence structure, which means the word turns stay the same, which means attorneys can't sit around and argue about what the words mean, because what they mean what they say and say what they mean. The nice thing about quantum grammar is they're all harnessed in the now space. And if you want to learn more about that, you can watch some of my videos or come to some of my workshops at LASTFLAGSTANDING.COM, and it'll get into some of the mechanics of how quantum grammar works and what syntax is, which is the order of operations of words, like how words come together. And that's how we know about the prepositional phrase in, but when used as a prefix means no. So if you say you're not intelligent, you're actually saying you're no intelligent. So you got to watch these words. But as you learn to come into the quantum banking system, and as you learn to start programming your now space, you will not call yourself intelligent, because that means no. You're going to call yourself intelligent because you're smart. And you're going to give the AI agents commands in a math interface, and you're going to find out that numbers don't lie, but liars, they never figure. And so a lot of people are going to get caught here in this backlash of the fake simulation that is occurring that has left the dimension of the now space. Now, this is super, super valuable to those of you with your claims of the life. Because now that you've completed your Step 7, and for those of you who want to learn about Step 7, you can go to fortheclaimofthelife.com. And now you will look at now reprogramming your now space. Not in some make-believe situation where you got the make-believe AI agents and you're telling it what to do, but you're going to mathematically, sequentially rewrite the programming in a way that the math and the quantum entanglements now put your qubit, which is your brain, into position and space simultaneously, to allow yourself to look at all things as the qubit, where you are not setting yourself up with a chip in your hand, a chip in your head, but you are a naturalist. You're a pureblood, not engaged in gene editing, of course, but something natural. And when you look into the stories of the monatomic elements, they would call them monoatomics, you will see the health benefits there. And we're not talking the health benefits of the fake adrenochrome of their fake master puppet, Mr. Dracula himself.
Vlad the Impaler is trending after Prince Charles claimed that he's related to the 15th century Romanian warlord who helped inspire Bram Stoker's 1897 vampire novel, Dracula. Impaling was Vlad's favorite form of torture and execution, hence the posthumous sobriquet given to the nobleman who was known as Dracula during his time. It's estimated that as many as 100,000 people were victims of the sadistic tyrant. The heir to the British throne was touring Romania and touting the importance of conserving Transylvania's forests when he revealed the genealogical nugget. Dracula is a distant ancestor of his great-grandmother, Queen Mary.
We're talking about the monos, the divine space, the divine love, the divine happiness, that we are divine beings and made in the image of our creators. And I say creators because I'm not going to get into a faith-based argument between faiths and cultures around the world. Each person has their own faith based upon their own condition. I just know the divine light and love is in each and every one of us. And I love mankind, and I don't want to see us die, and that's why I built the quantum banking system to give us a position so when I did see the British try to take over the lands again, but they can't come onto the lands, what they can do is set up a digital off-world space, and they would call it avatar banking, and there's a lot of vessel names that they call it. But it's only a simulation of fakeness because they don't have the right to rule, which is the monos. And there's going to be more to this storyline that will come out. But as you see, the quantum banking system is well thought out, is well put together by myself. And there were many that have come across my life in my journey of life that have sacrificed a lot. to put me in this position to give this technology to you guys. And I would like to thank the spirit of my ancestors, because I am my ancestors. I'm with my loved ones that have given so much to me, because they have given me this chance to free the now space. And it's a beautiful time. And the darkness can turn your back all you want on Benjamin Franklin and the founding fathers, and you can spit in our face all you want, but you can't come into the now space. That's the beauty of this. Those leaders got to stay gone, and they got to trick you guys into the rumors of war. You got to watch fake storylines. I'd like to speak a little bit to the younger generation. See, I see you guys pushing the AI agents, where you think you could be the next Bill Gates, or you could be the next Steve Jobs. However, you are the replacements. You will be replaced by that which you try to peddle. And the love of money is fraudulent. It is better to give than receive. It's better to be fair to your fellow mankind. And you're a lot younger than us. And we have wisdom, even though you may be smarter than us in certain fields, for sure. However, I challenge you to come out of the concepts of lust, vanity, and greed. This is not about who has the most money. This is about who gives and has the biggest heart, and who can give a situation that will give our fellow mankind and their loved ones the very love and the happiness that our ancestors felt when they were on our lands. The harmony with nature, the harmony with water. To not identify carbon as a value, but to love carbon, to cherish carbon. There's a difference. There's a big difference between placing a monetary value on carbon, a monetary value on water, a monetary value on life. Heck, if you want to talk monetary value on life, look at the U.S. military since 1999. Damn! They were the weapon of mass destruction. They terraformed the Middle East, which terraformed Europe. Shame on the leaders that tricked the American soldiers into going to war. Shame on the countries that were behind 9/11. Shame on the people that think that adrenochrome is going to make your life last longer. You ain't got the monos. You can beat it. Leave the children alone. Leave people alone. Let's be kind. Let's get along. Hey, there's going to be more to this story coming up. Thank you guys, but the British have left the building and they're no longer allowed to be in our now space. Claimants, sovereigns, postmasters, those of you with claims of the life. Now is your space. Now is your time.